Barcelona won 4-2 against Celta Vigo, and I am happy. I am happy because this game went our way in some instances, even though the high line is still a problem, and we'll talk about it in today's video. I think there are certain things, particularly four of them, that this game tells us a lot more about our future than the scoreline ever could. And you know what? I think I'm a good guy analyzing matches, so that's what I'm going to bring it to you guys. Because yes, Lewandowski scored a hat-trick. Yes, Rashford shined again, even though I saw some people, criticizing Rashford on Twitter. But beneath the goals, I think there's a pattern that so far in this game started to repeat itself, which could be good, could be bad. Anyway, let's break it down in this video. Let's break down everything that we learned about it and why even the most uninspired Barcelona fan should still understand and pay attention to it. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. And this was one of those games where the result looked great, the performance was okay, but beneath each and every single individual player, there's a lot of tactical decisions, a lot of different narratives that happen in the game that tell a different story. We attacked well, we pressed with energy in certain instances, and we still managed to concede 2 goals that looked way too familiar. The high line keeps hunting us, the defensive coordination is still very, very fragile, and yet we saw moments of genuine brilliance from this Hansi Flick side. I mean, we still attack very nicely. That's something that, regardless of whether Barcelona are playing good or not, I think that always a Hansi Flick side, it's kind of like they're trying to outscore their opponents, and we saw that today, right? So let's break it down by the 4 key things that we learned from Barcelona's win against Celta Vigo. The positive, the flaws, the warning signs heading into the Champions League, which is the one thing that we all kind of really do care about. So if that is all kind of that you really wanted to know, if that's not for you, feel free to shut the video down. I don't want to be unrespectful of your time, but if you do want to go deeper and understand why this match really tells us about Barcelona's season, stay with me. Drop your own thoughts below. Of course, what is your biggest takeaway from this win? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon, because that really helps out a lot to me. And all right, let's start with the most obvious lesson. And that is that Robert Lewandowski is still world class. 3 goals, total composure, and the reminder that when the team gives his service, he turns half chances into wins, into points. That is something that Robert Lewandowski always is gonna give you. He's a proven goal scorer. I mean, we're talking about the Champions League's most prolific goal scorer behind Messi and Ronaldo. I mean, that is a tremendous company to be in. What a wonderful table to sit in, Robert Lewandowski. I think this is a player we don't tend to give as much recognition as he maybe should. Maybe that Ballon d'Or in 2020 is the one thing that he needed to make his history and his legacy even bigger. I really do think that France football need to give him a freaking Ballon d'Or, because even at the age of 37, and my guy is looking older by the minute, he still is wonderful at scoring goals. Like, you cannot deny that. I mean, he's up there with Kane and Haaland as the most prolific goal scorers, I think, right now on planet Earth. He really can turn anything into a goal. Like, I mean, the last goal for the hat-trick, the header, was superb. The athleticism and the ability just to twist his head back like that, to just barely touch it and put into the back of the net, is insane. The amount of strength you need to have on your muscles in your freaking neck are incredible to do something like that. So I don't know what sort of F1 training for 0 G's Lewandowski doing in his free time, but my goodness, it's paying off. I really do like Lewandowski, and I think that this is what this team needs. If we can have more time of our front line with Lamine, Lewandowski, and Rafinha when he comes back fit, I think Barcelona can enjoy it again, because our team hasn't really changed that much. If you really do put everything into perspective, the only thing that has changed, the only variable, is Íñigo Martínez. And that high line that I explained in the previous video that has moved 5 meters up. But apart from that, the team is basically the same, The difference is just the injuries and whatnot. And I think that Lewandowski still, whenever you give him service, he's going to give you goals. And for me, that's something very important, particularly in this philosophy of Hansi Flick's style. where you kind of want to outscore the opponent, or it's such a high risky way of playing football that you need to finish your chances. And what a better way than having Robert Lewandowski finish those? I mean, Ferran Torres had a very well start to the season. We actually made a video ranking all of the players so far halfway through the season now, seeing where they're at in terms of performances. And I think that Ferran Torres has been ahead. I think he has been doing good enough. He's a good squad player and he has been performing, scoring goals. But Lewandowski is just a tier above. I love the Shark. I really love Ferran, but Lewandowski is just on a world of his own when it comes here. I don't think any other player comes close to the level of legacy that this guy has built in football, and what he has accomplished and what he's able to do with some simple touches. I think that Lamine will do that. I think Rafinha, in terms of maybe just level, he can sort of perform at that level as well. We've seen that, but he hasn't had the consistency. I mean, Lewandowski is he's just elite. So I think it's very good to see Lewandowski back. The first goal was also very good. The second, I mean, these are goal scorers' goals. You know what I mean? Like a number 9 goals. I really do think those goals are kind of what we were lacking in this team. I think we had such a problem, particularly the second goal as well. I like it from Marcus Rashford. The ball that Marcus Rashford gave to Lewandowski was really, really good. I like that quite a lot. It was such a sweet candy, from Rashford into Lewandowski. And once again, the header and the movement of Lewandowski. I don't know if you've noticed that, but go watch back the goal. Lewandowski was offside, and then he just comes walking back to get himself onside, and then he sprints. He sprints so rapidly back into position, and that's when Rashford, pings the ball into the box, and that's when the goal happens. I think that is really good. And there's some instances where Lewandowski just chests the ball, turns around, and that's a half ball into the back of the net, hopefully. I think this Lewandowski is, if when we're able to have him in our team, I think really, really works. I think that is something that this team has been lacking. You really do need that number 9 for this sort of system, and I think we've sort of overlooked that. So I really want to give a lot of good press to Lewandowski, So yeah. So another thing that we kind of have to discuss that I think is very important to this team is that I like how this team was much more involved in every part of the press. I think that our high line is something that we know Hansi Flick isn't going to change. It's something that we know that Hansi Flick has said he's going to stick with it. He's a manager that he likes sticking to his philosophy, and they're not going to change it. He's already said that like 3 times. So the press is something that we do need to improve. The press is a part of the game where the players can have a huge impact on it. Not that goals, assists, all of those other stuff, of course they can. But the press is something that whether you have the ball or not, your team always needs to be connected and needs to be focused, needs to be on point with it. And I think that that's something that the technical staff has sort of been reminding our players of throughout the weeks, particularly these last few days. And particularly Marcus Rashford. There was a lot said about Marcus Rashford, how he doesn't really press, doesn't really close down the opponent as much as other players, you could say. I really want to make that comparison between Rashford and Rafinha. Rafinha last season, I think he's such an important player when it comes to our team, not only for the attack, from scoring goals, but about the recovery. The ball recovery from Rafinha is insane. He will track you down like a lioness hunting for her prey. That's some sort of stellar player that's a stat you don't. That's not a stat. That is something you simply don't see in stats. When you make an analysis, you don't see that on paper, and that is something that Rashford simply doesn't have to his game. But today I saw that a little bit. I saw that a little bit from the Englishman. I think Flick has told Rashford a little bit more to do that. I think you could see that Rashford was pressing a little bit faster, a little bit harder, a little bit more connected to the recovery of the entire team. I think the team was much more of that net that you want, all of them together, just capturing the ball at one sector of the pitch, and then you can do the quick turnover. I think you could see Rashford was really acting as the point man in that. I really like that. There was particularly one chance that the ball was left loose, and I think Rashford just sprinted towards it. And Rashford can be such a good player for that because he's just so quick as well, and he's really powerful as well as an athlete. So I think that worked really well. I think particularly from our wingers, we need that quite a lot in this system. So those are the kind of the good things I saw in this game. I think that once again you can sort of mention different players like De Jong. I think Dani Olmo was good enough. The midfield, of course, we need to mention that Casado did not play because apparently he had a knock to this abductor. I don't know how you say it in English. I don't have any confirmation of that. If you know and you have something, some source, leave it in the comments down below. I kind of want to read that because I don't know why he was substituted. That's some rumors on Twitter going on there. But Dani Olmo played a little bit further down as kind of a double pivot with Frankie de Jong. He did quite okay, but against Celta Vigo, I mean, it kind of makes do. You can't make do with it. But when it comes down to the biggest of matches, I don't know whether we can really, continue to struggle with such a superficial midfield. We're such a flat midfield right now with just Fermin, Dani Olmo, and Frankie de Jong being the only fit players. Like, we're missing Pedri, we're missing Casado, we're missing Gavi. It's certainly a very, very big miss. So, in the other side of the spectrum, I talk about the press, but the highline is still a problem because we saw those 2 goals from Celta Vigo very early on that were just very hard to swallow. Particularly that first goal, I think just how such a smooth through ball, so quick, so slow, so weak, can penetrate our defense like that it's quite surprising. I really do not like how Barcelona playing this system. The one thing I don't like about the system is that it's so risky in the sense that you make every team is still in the game. No matter what you do, you're still in the game because of the system. And no matter what you do, every team has an opportunity to score against you. Like, normally I prefer a team that can sort of nullify those chances, but this way Hansi Flick plays, that's his way. And he lets other teams, do their stuff. I think that the reason why Hansi Flick likes this is because you are in control. If Barcelona do the offside trap correctly, 100%, the other team won't even touch the ball. They won't even be able to score a goal or even get a shot on target. That's possible. We've seen it before. You're in control of your own decisions. But if you do it wrongly, if you do it bad, then they're left with a almost guaranteed goal. So it's a very kind of toss of a coin. And I think that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Of course, we need to make it so it falls heads most of the times, if heads is success for us. But I just kind of wonder what's going to happen with it. And one of the things that's sort of been rumored about is that Hansi Flick wants a left center back in the January transfer window. I do not know how possible that is. I don't know how much budget we have for the transfer window that coming in winter. So let's see, because apparently the player that Flick wants is Nico Schlotterbeck, which I think would actually fit very nicely with our team. I think would actually fit as a quite commanding presence as a player to lead the back line or lead the offside trap. I think he can do that, the German. But yeah, I just kind of want to lift it there. I kind of want to leave it there in a sense where we know the risk that this high line can bring, but when our pieces are coming back, I don't think we're going to be seeing as much of an issue with it because I think in attack we're going to be much, much better, and that overall is kind of what Flick wants. So let's see how we still recover from this. We got now the international break. Hopefully we can get our players back, and hopefully we can have an actual midfield to play against Chelsea, because if not, I think we're gonna eat some goals. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna be making some videos over, of course, the international break. We have TikToks coming up as well, and shorts and things like that. So subscribe to the channel for more content. It will really help me out. Also, leave me channels in the comment box down below that you would like me to collaborate with. I would like to connect with some different people. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao.